I think as it currently stands, yes, that's the case. But that doesn't mean that inherently it need be the case.
But the government shows no intention of fixing this anywhere in the world. We see this. You know, the Soviets loved it. Hitler loved it. This is what authoritarian systems do. They want... I mean, look at North Korea. I don't know if you've seen the documentaries about how large populations live in these work camps. And 5 days a year, they'll put a man with a woman in a cell, and then they produce a child. It's sent to another camp, and they say this is how the state rules. There is no family.
Yeah, I suppose there's an element of that. I think, you know...
But I mean, maybe North Korea's doing it right, according to maybe it's a heaven. Maybe we're the kooks. Maybe we're the kooks, John.
I don't think so. I think the difficulty is, it's what one of my colleagues was referring to, the rule of the celebrity, where there gets to be more and more media interest in sort of what's well known because it's well known, and there's little judgment used as to what's right and what's wrong.
Well, clearly, and I have the textbooks. I'm sure you're well read, but I mean, have you read what they teach social workers? How the families are bad and
I'd have to see the documents. You see, I know there are lots of different views, and people tend to have their own ideologies. And again, one of the things about not having proper accountability is if somebody's got their own little pet subject, right? So some are obsessed that children should never be smacked, right? And so they go around removing any child that's smacked. Right, and that's sort of different motivations for different people, and the parameters in which they operate are not sufficiently adequately controlled.
Well, it's not illegal to smack your child in the U.S. when they keep running out in traffic. You just can't hurt them. How is it in England?
It's a sort of similar-ish situation. You've got some people who are obsessed that you should never ever smack a child, all right, which is, I think, complete nonsense. But then the problem is they can go and run riot in the child protection system, going around protecting children from being smacked.
Yeah, but what about problems with child protective services abusing children? I mean, raping them, you name it. It's rampant here.
Well, we've made a bit of progress here because we now have the General Social Care Council, which does actually strike social workers off when they rape their children in their care. So that's an improvement.
But they don't get imprisoned, I guess. It's just
they get imprisoned as well. No, I don't think that. I think there have been problems with that. There's no question. There's problems in the past with the abuse.
Yeah, because where does a smart pedophile go? He doesn't go to school grounds trying to lure kids into his van. Yeah. He goes and becomes a, let's say you're a Romanian or let's say you're a Greek pedophile. You just move to jolly old England and let the raping begin.
Yeah, well, that's why you need real accountability. And I worry about how many children get lost as well, you see. The Birmingham,
lost. We had 3,000 plus disappear in CPS custody in Florida, and CNN just said they're gone.
Yeah, I know. It's not good enough at all.
So you have them disappearing too.
If I'd lost a child,
because sometimes the social worker gets a little mad and maybe chops the head off and buries them in the back. I mean,
I think that's obviously a bit of an extreme case, but I think the concern I have is that we have figures as to how many children are lost, but there's no proper audit of the process at all. The whole system is very, very resistive to any auditing process.
Yeah, it's just designed so they can have their party, and that's the end of it. I mean, did you hear about the Texas Youth Commission, where they had rape parties of the children?
I didn't hear about it. I know things like that used to go on in Jersey. I don't know if you know, I had an exiled senator from Jersey staying with me for a couple of months. He revealed on his weblog the details of a failed investigation into a nurse who'd been murdering patients in Jersey, which is an island just off France. It's what's called a crown dependency, so it's not part of the United Kingdom, but is linked up in various complex ways.
It's a protectorate.
I don't know what a protectorate is, but it's a crown dependency. And it's sort of part of the wider, bits like Gibraltar and Guernsey and Jersey and the Isle of Man and things like that.
It's like the Azores are part of Portugal.
Sorry?
It's like the Azores are part of Portugal.
Yeah, I don't know whether the Azores may be actually part of Portugal, but the difference is that they don't have MPs in Parliament. They have their own government. And what the hierarchy, the oligarchs there, decided to do was, because he had revealed about this botched investigation, that they would prosecute him under the Data Protection Act. So he did a runner from Jersey, and he was staying with me for a couple of months, but he's gone on now to go and stay with an old police officer who was part of Jersey, and they were trying to sort of deal with all the corrupt things going on. The system was resistant to that. So he's moved on. But these sorts of things, that sort of thing did used to go on in Jersey.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, government, no matter how you try to make it work well, the bigger it gets, the more abusive it gets. And is there any sign of reform? I mean, you've got
accountability and transparency are the key things. So it's absolute, and within that you have to allow people to blow the whistle. And one of the problems we have with the government here is that under pressure from the practitioners, that is the people who make money out of child protection, they're bringing in a law to mean that you have to keep anonymous anyone who was ever involved in one of these cases. And that's just dreadful.
Well, we have rewards here for it, so people just make full livings lying about folks.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's an interesting problem where you have a different standard of proof for criminal proceedings and for civil proceedings. So,
well, you know what set up the family court. I mean, it was set up as eugenics courts.
I don't know what your system is, but here we have a problem with people getting compensation for criminal injuries that are just basically made up.
Oh, yeah. Every day, I see articles where some crackhead wants more crack, so they go point at some old woman's house and say, I bought the crack there, and they go, here's $1,000, and the SWAT team goes in and guns down the old woman and just says, hey, we're the police, we're taking care of you. That's the end of it. Well, I tell you, it's been an amazing interview with Liberal Democrat MP John Hemming, and it's johnhemming.blogspot.com. Sir, thank you so much for spending time with us, and please keep standing up against the creatures.
Well, fighting injustice, as I said, it's important. Much as I don't agree with you on what you say on everything, but I think it is important to fight injustice and highlight what's going wrong.
Thank you so much.